and he bought things from Sears. And our Christmas, Mama would order out of the Sears Roebuck catalog. Oh, you never heard of such thing. But we'd look all year for things we really wanted. So she'd order it, it would come, and then Daddy would hide it at the store. He had lots of drawers under the counters, because the store not only sold to farmers, we had groceries and penny candy and Coca-Colas for a nickel, and thread and zippers and boots and shoes, and a place that you could weigh the thief, which is how we as children growing up were weighed regularly to see how we were coming along. And the chicken feed came in colorful sacks, designs on it. So when the chicken feed came in, I would race to the back to pick out the ones I wanted for my next dresses, because Mama made my clothes out of chicken feed sacks.
Do you have any of those still?
I wish I did. I don't think I have one. I have Mom's wedding dress, and this is the picture of her for her wedding. And I have 2 of Daddy's hats. I wish I had saved a lot more. And my son, I named James Maxwell for my daddy and James for his other grandfather. And then when my grandson came along, they graciously named him Williams McCain Carr, and we call him McCain. So that's very, very rewarding to me, quite an honor to me. We had a centennial, Charlie. You've seen Miss Walker now, you know about my piano teacher. Waxhaw was incorporated in 1889, you know that, March. Dr. Gamble, who initiated the drama, started writing to me and calling and saying, Gladys, he had a very deep voice, and he talked very slowly and quite succinctly, we have to have a celebration. And you must be in charge. You can choose your committee. We worked 3 years planning that centennial, meeting monthly, and they were faithful, they were wonderful. We had an event every single month in 1989 to celebrate our 100 years. Haskell always did the flags and the flowers all along the banks for us. Whatever inside event, he also did the decorations. Everybody had a special talent, so we called on to it. If you could cook, if you had flowers, if you could sew, everybody had to work on it. So my costume for the opening ceremony, we had a January and a February, but March we had the opening ceremony. Do you know that Governor James B. Hunt came and did the opening address for us at our 100 years? When he stood up to speak, he said, Ms. Carr contacted me 3 years ago. Never have I been invited that far in advance. So I couldn't say that. And Charlie McGee sent his airplane to bring him to Waxhaw. And he brought his dad with him. And we were so honored and pleased to have him here. Then James B. Hunt, governor, along with Harry Gamble and several others, felt we should have a museum to honor Andrew Jackson. And in the 70s then, this play started in the 60s, remember? In the 70s, we started working on the museum. It was 1992 before we ever got enough inside to have a little dedication. And now we have lots of memorabilia and artifacts. So very proud of it. But this outfit was designed by Priscilla Washco, who had a Victorian lady shop on Main Street. She researched and said it had to be Victorian, so I had to have an umbrella. Not called an umbrella. The ladies would take, this is a parasol. A parasol. I have a beaded bag. Not only did you have a bag, you had to have gloves. So these are the very gloves that I wore in 1989. You had to have a hat, and I'm so sorry it looks a little bit beaten up and worn, but we initiated the 4th of July parade as part of that celebration, and it poured down rain. And I was wearing this hat, you see, and I wouldn't stop, so it got wet and it shrinkled. But I wouldn't throw it away for the world. And the dress is in 2 parts. And I wanted you to see the little bustle effect on the back. And a dressmaker here in town did it, so it's one of a kind. There is no other just like this. And the skirt also has the lace. And it's longer in the back than the front, which apparently was the style. And I had to have it altered, I'm sorry to say. I gained a pound or two when we had our 125th in 2014. But now I can wear it. So I can't gain any more weight.
How long has the parade been going on?
Since 1989.
Did they've always had a 4th of July parade in Waxhaw?
Since 1989 is the best I can tell you.
Okay.
Frankie Thompson, my second grade teacher on the committee, agreed to be in charge of the 4th of July parade and did it in a super fantastic manner. And that's one event out of all the 12 we had that the town decided to continue. We also had a teddy bear parade in December for the children to march in front of the older women's club and carry their bears. And JARS, do you know about our Jungle Aviation? Wycliffe Bible translators that live just out of town, furnished a helicopter, and Santa Claus and Mrs. Santa Claus arrived in the helicopter and landed in that vacant lot right there for the children to see that first December celebration. It was fantastic. Nobody said no. Whatever I asked, everybody did. But it took the whole village. It took almost the whole county.
But what's the history? Do you know any of the history about the airport down there?
The JARS Airport. I met Mr. and Mrs. Townsend, who were the founders of JARS. I've been to their Mexican museum in a number of times, the Alphabet Museum, and I've had friends who are associated with it, so I visit out there. I think they came in the 70s. Don't hold me to that. But she was very active in the Women's Club and willing to help us with events that the town wanted to sponsor. This centennial happened to come along. We had 2 lady mayors. The first one was Lola Blackburn, and her term was over, and Jeanette Haynes was elected. So the town had endorsed me to be chairman of the committee while Lola was mayor, so I had to resign and wait and see if I was going to be reappointed by the new mayor, and I was. And I loved working with both ladies. They were just wonderful.
And one last thing about the mill down the street. Did you know any children growing up that worked in the mill?
Absolutely. There weren't children. They didn't work children in that mill. They were grown-ups. But Mr. and Miss Presley, I knew particularly well because they traded with my daddy at the farmer's store. And their baby daughter, Betty Jean, was in my class. And in fact, I just went to see her yesterday. She still lives in Monroe. And trying to get ready for whatever we're going to do to help to honor Dr. Gamble, I found 2 little tapes that I had made of Miss Presley when I went to her home and asked her to talk to me about the cotton mill. Mm-hmm. She worked 12-hour shifts. There were always little children at home. She would run home at her lunch hour to check on them. I don't know that they were mistreated. That first story I told you about running away from my dad and sitting on the porch with Miss Pearl ran that cotton mill after her father died. Oh, do you know the story about the death of Mr. J.L. Rodman? Don't know about that? All right, he and the Heaths built the mill, built the Waxhaw Cotton Mill. He was very civically minded. He was at the Waxhaw School petitioning for war bonds. This was World War I. He had a heart attack and died on stage at school.
In front of everybody?
In front of everybody. His funeral was the largest anybody in this whole area had ever seen because he owned a lot of land and had a lot of tenant farmers, and he was really good to all of them. He was a church worker. He sent his family to Montreat every summer. He had a lot of girls and 1 boy. And Mr. J.L. operated a store across the street over here where Mama Lena's was, and one on the corner that burned. They all came and cried. Said he was just really a very, very special gentleman. So I trust, I have no idea how much they made. He had houses there for them to live in. When Miss Pearl became in charge, she insisted they have prayer meeting every Wednesday night. She played the little pump organ. So I know they were truly a church oriented, and they were Presbyterian, by the way.
Was that most of the town? Were most of the town's residents Presbyterian? Or was it
Methodist
diverse?
Church, which is still right there, 1888, before the town was incorporated. The Presbyterian, 1888, they were formed about the same time. And the Baptist. And King Street, the house that Daddy bought, where I lived most of my life, was at the end of King Street. Would you believe that the King Street Baptist Church burned on Christmas Eve one year? Not good.
After the
Not
service?
good. And these Gambles that you've heard the name over and over and over, and Dr. Harry being one, they were all Baptists. The Masseys, the Rodmans, my family were Presbyterians. The Urgles were Methodists. So there was a place for all of us to go. And every fifth Sunday, the three churches had a joint service. And I remember vividly when I was big enough to play the organ a little at the Presbyterian church, Mr. Joyner, who was Baptist minister, was doing the sermon that night, and the lights went out. And he kept right on preaching. He never stopped. He finished the sermon, and finally the lights came on. But we loved everybody. We knew everybody. Everybody knew me. I knew everybody. What? There were about 750 people when I was growing up, and fewer than that when Mom and Dad first met each other and were married. And what's the population now? Waxhaw is so big. But I do believe the Christmas lights and the decorations this year are the loveliest I have ever seen. I am so proud of my town. And so proud of the people who have come to live here with us. And still feel honored that there are a few of us who are actually born here and want to be here continuously.
Thanks. Well, thank you very much for your stories.
Ask her real quick about the library. About the library getting started.
The first library that I remember was at the A.W. Heath Company. And Miss Lola Baldwin, who worked as a clerk there, checked the books in and out. There was a bookmobile that came from Monroe. And after Miss Lola had it in the A.W. Heath, Town Hall used to be across the street, where I keep talking about, Women's Club used to be. All right, City Hall was right there. And then the library became located in the building where City Hall was. Miss W.R. Steele was clerk at one time. She sent out the water bills and I don't know what else, not much town business back then, I guess. And then Mamie Knox worked there a while, and Maggie Bell, Mr. R.J. Oh, I should tell you, Mr. R.J. Bell ate cabbage every day. And he lived to be way past 90. So maybe that's telling us something good. The cabbage was bought at Daddy's store. That's how I know he had cabbage every day.
Do you remember anybody famous coming through town? Either visiting or just stopping through?
Andy Griffith. Whoopi Goldberg. I've already told you about Governor Hunt. To me, that was famous. Surely there are others. Just doesn't come to mind now.
Or any concerts, any bands that came here to play? I guess there was no music hall? Or?
Just what we had at school, what Miss Walker did for us. And a couple of years ago, we had supposed to be a first ever. The Union Symphony came, and we had artists who had family here who came and did a wonderful program, 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we had hoped it would be an annual event. But that first year, those in charge said, it's free. But then they asked for donations. Well, you know, sometimes donations aren't enough to pay expenses. So the symphony sort of backed out because they didn't have enough funds to cover. And I'm so sorry. Because they were very talented young people who came. Rented a baby grand piano for the Women's Club so that they could do the concert there. So I guess the outdoor drama,
Mhm.
and those of us who took piano, and the events at school was about the culture and our little movie theater.
And when you were growing up, did you go to the Belk store down the street, or did you have to go to the Belk store in Monroe?
The Belk store, when when I was small, I don't remember it really, because I think they closed in about 37. So most of my clothes Mama made. Remember my chicken feed sacks? And then things that we had to buy, we got from Sears. And we did go to Belk and Monroe occasionally. It was a wonderful basement where you could buy material that Mom could make a Sunday dress. Oh, I need to tell you about Miss Ashley, who lived down at the end of the street across the track over here. She was a wonderful seamstress. She made my very first recital dress, which was a blue taffeta, and I still have a picture of me in that dress. So we didn't go anywhere much. We did it all. You know, you made your clothes, you canned your food, you helped each other, and that was about it. Didn't go much. Yes, that's why when I grew up and got ready to finish teaching at Winnie University, I wanted to go to Scotland. So I did that.
Excellent.
I love to travel. I really do. But thank you so very much.
Well, thank you very much for these stories.
This was an opportunity. And Merry Christmas to everybody.